Hi, welcome back for a few final comments on binomial distribution and discrete distributions, specifically the binomial. Just take you to slide 12, and we've got our 95% boundary set up. Remember, it was the average plus 2 standard deviation, the average minus 2 standard deviation. Make sure you take the square root, because I think I even put on one of the slides, don't forget to take the square root of the numbers that you multiply to get your standard deviation. But that's in earlier slides, and you've got a reference to that. So we've been successful to get our 95% area, and it falls from 6.8 to 12.4. So as we did our little sawing earlier, kind of carving this out, we can see the balance point is right at 9.6, right where that average is. And that's useful to us. We can say, okay, this is the 95% window where we should see the appearance of Mexican-American jurors as we run our experiment over and over of obtaining 12 jurors for a trial. The thing I wanted to add here is, let's say you had in January a trial come up and you had 8 jurors. Well, that would fall right up here, and that would be in our usual area. So everything's going along fine. We say, yeah, there's no bias against Mexican-American jurors. We've got 8 at this time, and for this trial, and then we've got 7 for the next trial in February. We're still above our boundary of 6.8, so we're fine there. And then we've got 9 in March. So we're tracking right along. And what I'm suggesting is you use a basic tool that we took a look at way back in chapter 1, just simply doing a line chart. Once you know the inferential statistics of, okay, here's my center, here's my boundaries for 95%, there's an insightful power to stepping back to a simpler tool, the descriptive tool of a line chart, and just saying, okay, this is what I'm getting when I plot it against those limits, but let's take a look at what it looks like as I go over time. So for 3 months we're well within the window, and then in April we get a 3 Mexican-American jurors out of 12. So that's going to be 5, 4, 3. That would be way out here, well into our 2.5% zone, being in the unusual zone. And you can see how it dropped down. In the next month, we get a 4. Then again, we're up slightly, but we're still in that unusual zone. The next month we get 3 again. So we've got 3, 4, and 3, and what we see is a drop off, and we see this drop below our 6.8. And of course, with 12 jurors, our upper limit is 12.4, so we can't really exceed the upper limit. And what it says is, with an 80% likelihood of an underlying population, we will see juries with all 12 being Mexican-American. Now, we shouldn't see them every month, but it's not unusual for us to see 12 Mexican-American jurors. For some reason, for some of you that are a little bit older, there's a song called It's Not Unusual by Tom Jones. So this is the not unusual area of your distribution. So, and for those of you that aren't that old, then Google Tom Jones and you'll get that song. So think of that song when you're in the not unusual area, and this is the unusual area. Okay? Who knew you were going to have music in this? So this is within our boundary, 6.8 up to 12.4, and this is below our boundary. And now you now you have to ask yourself, what's changed? Do we have a new process for selecting jurors? Have we started to skip a step? Do we have a new, in that process, maybe new person doing the process who doesn't have the knowledge and skills to incorporate the full random selection process? Do we have a change in software? Do we have a change in hardware in our computer system? The database is different. Has something been corrupted to make this bias occur? It doesn't always have to be an intentional bias. People can assume that. It can be just a procedural software hardware kind of issue. So keep that in mind as you apply the binomial distribution to your work life. If this were patients 80% likely of meeting our admittance time in the emergency room, well, with 80% likelihood, every 12 patients we admit, we should on average see 9 to 10 patients being admitted within that window. We should have, we can have up to 12 of them admitted to the window and no fewer than 6.8 or 6 patients admitted. Once we admit them below, down here, you know, we see a shift that, okay, we were doing 9, 8, 10 patients on time. Now we're at 3, 4, and 3 again. These patients are now giving us a signal that something has changed in our process. Okay. So keep that in mind, and I'll see you on the forum, and good luck with your homework.